Hey guys, Courtney here with Knowledgeable Media. It is April the 17th, 2020. It's about 10:30 a.m. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that button down below right there so that you can get notification each time I post a new video. So, lots going on around the world, around the states, and definitely in my and in your neck of the woods. Just wanted to touch base with you a little bit on what's going on, what I'm thinking. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to put some comments down below. I definitely covet your comments, concerns, questions, and information. All right, so what's going on? I was listening to Jeff Berwick over at the Dollar Vigilante. I listen to him pretty frequently. He's a little eccentric, but as far as I can tell, he tells majority truth, and he calls himself an what is that called? Anarchist? Yeah. All right. So, but I appreciate his information, and he's definitely not afraid to tell what he deems is truth. All right. But anyways, he was outlining some things. I'll put the link to the video down below. He's in kind of a celebratory mode, and he's encouraging us to celebrate because basically he's claiming that the truth is out about this whole pandemic issue and this coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. His position is that it's been a fraud all along. Yes, people are being injured or affected by it, perhaps even dying from the supposed virus, but that it's virtually no different than the seasonal flu virus, which kills thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people per year anyways. But he's in more of a celebratory mood because he's saying that we have essentially won. The people meaning the countries and more particularly our state, our nation, has not taken the bait and totally just went along with the narrative. The narrative being the extreme case pertaining to the COVID-19. So, in that we haven't gone along with it, and you can see that in Ohio and Michigan, there's riots, or not riots, but people are taking to the streets and voicing their disdain for these statewide lockdowns, these nationwide lockdowns. And so, yeah. So I don't know. What say you? How do you feel about it? I did find a few things interesting. Like I said, I will put the link to that video that I watched down below. You should check it out and probably get it out and share it with other people as you deem necessary. But I do find several things interesting. Just wanted to discuss some of those points here. And the amount of money that has been printed, circulated, and doled out in the name of a stimulus and economic package is astronomical. I mean, we're talking. The claims were that the deficit for the nation was already upwards of 20-something trillion dollars, and you would have to check the span of time that supposed 23 or 24 trillion dollars, the amount of time it's taken to accumulate that amount. Now, put that in perspective that there's upwards of $10 trillion just since the start of this pandemic until present day. So, yeah, you get what I'm saying. So, essentially, they're borrowing this money from the future. I mean, our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children will now have to foot the bill for that amount of money borrowed from the private Fed. Okay? And so essentially just creating nations of slaves. Okay, and this is not just in the United States anymore. Now it's a global thing because the Fed has been sending money and buying up or funding other banks and central banks around the globe. So everybody's taking these handouts, right? I don't elect to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want their stimulus money. As I've said in many of my videos before, anytime you take a benefit from the government, they're going to expect some kind of obligation. And I'm just not into being obligated to the government. Take it how you want to, but that's just my stance and my belief, my freedom, right? All right, so anyways, something has to be done about the amount of money that has been circulated, that has been essentially borrowed from these private organizations, aka the Fed, which is not a governmental body, right? So there's great debt, okay, that is going to be put on the backs of, like I said, your children and their children's children. So, given in light of the fact that it seems to be coming to light now that this so-called pandemic was not what they thought it was, it never was as serious as they thought it would be, the numbers that they had put out as far as the death toll were greatly exaggerated. And something to consider is that whenever government gets involved in anything, and their famous line is, "We're coming to help. We're here to help." Anytime they get involved, there's always going to be a gross overreach. Okay, they're always going to overdo things. Now, why? Why is that always seeming to be the case? I mean, you do the history lesson, go back and research and check it for yourself. You'll see that every time the government gets involved, it's always overdone. Well, there's always more money, spent, as more actions taken than seemingly necessary. In hindsight, you find that, losses of your natural rights and liberties that you once had, you end up, something's missing once the government comes and leaves, right? Once they come helping, they always take, you're left with a deficit, okay? And so states lose their sovereignty, people lose their, like I said, liberties and rights. So that's something to consider, all right? Whenever we ask Big Daddy or Uncle Sam to come in and be our savior, okay? That's something to consider. But Jeff Berwick over at the Dollar Vigilante is going to outline most of that. I don't want to make this extremely long. I just wanted to hit and go. But what do you think about this? Okay, what do you think about the militarization of each of the states? What do you think about the million called up National Guard or whatever the number may be? Okay, where did they go? All these asset movements, the tanks and all this kind of stuff, where did they go? What were they set up for? Okay, who's accounting for all of these? Who's keeping the people aware of what's actually happening? Okay, you're in the video that I'm going to put down below in the description box. You're going to see where he's going to go over some of the numbers and the movements. Okay, the calling up of the assets, the governmental assets and things like that, in response to this supposed pandemic. Okay, who's going to explain these things? Are we just going to, chalk it up and say, back to business as usual? I mean, now it's a push to, let's open up the economy. Let's get everything back up and running again, right? But who are we going to hold accountable for the overreach, right? Okay, it's going to be on our backs. I mean, businesses have closed down. Okay, our children have been out of school for how long? How much is that going to set them back? I mean, even if it's the digital thing that they're doing, but still, I mean, that affects the psyche. I've been in communication with a friend of mine who says that her daughter is being affected, psychologically and things like that by this effect. They're taken out of their natural way of doing things, and not understanding and thinking that, are we all going to die, or having those type of questions. My daughter, my eldest, she has questions like, what is going on? Like, how am I supposed to process this? I'm used to going to school. I'm used to interacting and socializing and things like that. Now I can't do that, So, who's going to be held accountable? And now it seems like they're just going to roll everything out as if everything was fine. Oh, it was just a gross overreach. It was an oversight. and don't worry, we're going to open things back up, everything's going to be fine. But are we really going to be fine when $10 trillion was conjured up and then circulated out here as loans, and banks that would have failed were recapitalized and given extra life when they should have died, and that money is all off of our backs. So who's going to be held accountable for that? Okay, in a sense, the nation has stood by while government has created these trillions of dollars and then gave it out to big corporations and big business, right? And in a sense, they said, okay, for your part, meaning the people, we'll give you $1,200 for your family of four or whatever, right? So you see the dichotomy there? Okay, they created trillions of dollars, but they only gave you $1,200. So gross overreach by government, and then the people, who pays for it, right? Something to think about. But I contend personally, just my personal opinion, I think that we're not yet out of the proverbial box yet. I don't think things are going to go back to normal as the major media is saying. This is the new normal. I think this was personally. I think this was what they're calling a pandemic. I think that they knew full well, how they were going to roll this out and what would be the result of it, and the result will be in their favor. They being government and big business. I think that more than ever, the fascist state, the merger of big government and big business together for profit, okay, and virtually enslaving us. I think that they are 100 steps closer to their ultimate goal of a totalitarian state government, one world, and I think that we're just meant to absorb it and to go. And whenever they say everything is cool to return back to what you were before, I think we're just supposed to be like, okay, thank you. All right, I'll go back to work now. Be a good taxpayer. I think that that's what they're expecting. But again, we are, as a people, going to be now will be exponentially in the negative. Okay, that just means we have to work harder, because the tax dollars are going to need to fill a lot of the things that were doled out. Okay, that money has to be accounted for in one way or another, and that's usually on the taxpayer's back. Okay, food prices. So I just feel like we're going to feel the effects of this for many years to come. Yes, as Jeff Berwick is saying, we did push back. I mean, with the protests and things like that, and that's good to see. I'm glad that the American people haven't lost their commitment to freedoms, and we always have to realize that freedom is never free. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. It's never free. Usually people have to sacrifice something, okay, whether it's your reputation, whether it's your sweat equity, whether it's your life. That's how freedom has always been maintained and gotten. So we just have to realize that, and we should not take this lightly. We should hold our governments accountable. That's what we're mandated to do, to safeguard our freedoms and to uphold our freedoms and our neighbors' freedoms. Okay, that's our due diligence. That's what if you want a Republican form of government, as I believe it was a lady that asked Benjamin Franklin, what is it that you've given us? And I believe Benjamin Franklin says that I've given you a republic, but if you can keep it. Okay, so there's always going to be tyranny. There's always going to be coups. There's always going to be someone trying to usurp the people in the name of a governmental office. There's always going to be that. And so the people have to remain vigilant, and we have to stick together. We have to communicate. And ironically, that's what they attacked. They attacked our ability to congregate, to hold town meetings, to group together, and to discuss things, okay? To hold back tyranny. And it's no wonder why they operated the way that they did. But hopefully we've learned something from this. I don't believe that we are by any means out of the woods yet, I think is the phrase. But we better stay vigilant, okay? I'll do my best to give you the information as I get it. And make sure you check out this link I'm going to put down in the comment section, in the description. And it's, yeah, just follow that link, and it's an interesting video. I would like to know what you feel or what you think about it. Give me some comments down below. Make sure you get the message out there. It's important. We're going to have to learn to stick together and work together, and irregardless of race, color, or creed, okay? Because we divided can be infiltrated. And hopefully we're learning now through this current happening. All right. So anyways, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely want to hear what you have to say. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video. And it's Courtney here with Knowledge Well. Informed conclusions are drawn here. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye.